Jnananjala-shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Prabhajantam Anapaityam Apaitya Krityam Dvaipayano Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putreti Tammayatayo Taravo Vinedustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmadi Tarangamadye Kripamai Tvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanaravindam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om, Astol Tarazara Shishimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And the same again, millions and millions of times, unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Lila, Pravishta Om, Astol Tarazara Shishimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. And all the illustrious Rupanuga Guru Vargya, and all the Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, I'm offering my Dandavat pranams. So again, continuing reading our Jaiva Dharma, and we'll begin again with the Falshruti. It's very foundational is the English word, to be chanting this Falshruti before we begin the study, because the Falshruti is a condensed presentation of the entire Jaiva Dharma. And the principle that we're hearing all the time is leave the dull matter alone and just focus on the transcendental. And it's saying repeatedly that this book, this Granta, is only focusing on the pure conclusion and not going to encourage Dharma, Artha, Karma, Moksha. It's not going to encourage that. Okay, so if our wonderful Gurukul Golden Avatar School can again support us and chant this Falshruti.
পৃথিবীতে যত কথা ধর্ম নামে চলে ভাগবত কহে তাহা পরিপূর্ণ চলে ছয় ধর্ম ছাড়ি কর সত্য ধর্মে মতি চতুর্বর্গ ত্যাজি কর নিত্য প্রেম গতি আমিত্ব মীমাংসা ভ্রমে নিজ জড় বুদ্ধি নির্বিশেষ ব্রহ্ম জ্ঞানে নহে চিত্ত শুদ্ধি বিচিত্রতাহীন হলে নির্বিশেষ হয় কালসীমা তুল্য সেহ অপ্রাকৃতে নয় খণ্ড জ্ঞানে হেয় ধর্ম আছে সুনিশ্চয় প্রাকৃত হইলে কবু অপ্রাকৃত নয় জড়ের দ্বৈত জ্ঞান হেয় চিত্তে উপাদেয় কৃষ্ণ ভক্তি চিরদিন উপায় উপেয় জীব কবু জড় নয় হরি কবু নয় হরি সহ জীব চিত্ত ভেদা ভেদময় দেহ কবু জীব নয় ধরা ভোগ্য নয় দাস ভোগ্য জীব কৃষ্ণ প্রভু ভোক্তা হয় জৈব ধর্মে নাহি আছে দেহ ধর্ম কথা নাহি আছে জীব জ্ঞানে মায়াবাদ কথা জীব নিত্য ধর্ম ভক্তি তাহে জড় নাই শুদ্ধ জীব প্রেম সেবা ফলে পায় তাই জৈব ধর্ম পাঠে সেই শুদ্ধ ভক্তি হয় জৈব ধর্ম না পড়িলে কবু ভক্তি নয় রূপানুগ অভিমানে পাঠে দৃঢ় হয় জৈব ধর্ম বিমুখে ধর্মহীন কয় যাবৎ জীবন যেই পড়ে জৈব ধর্ম ভক্তিমান সেই জানে বৃথা জ্ঞান কর্ম কৃষ্ণেরও অমল সেবা লোভী সেই নর, সেবা সুখে মগ্ন রহ সদা কৃষ্ণ কর।
Joy. So I think we're starting from verse 11 today. So the translation from verse 11 to 14. One who reads Jaiva Dharma with faithful deliberation will surely attain Shuddha Bhakti. For one who does not read Jaiva Dharma can never attain Bhakti. So faithful deliberation, I mentioned the other day, is not without questioning necessarily. It's not with challenging. There's a difference between not having faith in the text, so you challenge it. But there's also another point of if you have a doubt, then you should ask that doubt to be purified and cleared. So faithful doesn't mean that you can't ask a question about it, because you have to have the intelligence comfortable to go forward. If there's some doubt, the intelligence has to be purified. But one who does not read Jaiva Dharma can never attain bhakti. So for this age, in Kali Yuga, we have basically, we can say three principal granthas that the Gaudiyas use: the Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and the Jaiva Dharma. So the Jaiva Dharma is like the condensed teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we see, I'm just going to mention today, the order of this Dasamula, the ontological order. It must begin with the Amnaya Praha. It must begin with the evidence. Where are we going to build these truths? What, on which foundation, which platform? So it's on the Vedic conclusions, principled by the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this first one has to be there. And then the first prameya, which is the first truth, is that Krishna is that supreme personality of Godhead. So that has to be completely appreciated first before you can go anywhere else, that personality. So that's the first one. The second one is Sarva Shaktim, the energies coming from that supreme person. So it's an order, it flows. And then there's Rasabdim, that third prameya. So we have these three prameyas about Krishna making the platform. And then we have Vibhinamsa Tattva. Now we're going into the various aspects of the Shaktis themselves, which is Vibhinamsa. And we're talking about that Shakti. So that's just a recap of the, in English we say ontological. It means the order in where it's coming. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is so scientific. This book is not just jumping here or jumping there. It's very, very delicately presented for the sensitive heart of the sadhak, because we're talking about something very subtle here. These truths, we're talking about a conditioned soul who's convinced that actually he's the body. That's what a conditioned soul is. And how to bring that consciousness into a purified consciousness. It's not such an easy thing to actually do. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur is just brilliantly illuminating all this. And this Falshruti supports everything here. So in the 12th verse, faithfully reading Jaiva Dharma will surely strengthen one's abhiman as a Rupanuga, follower of Rupa Goswami. Unless we're following Rupa Goswami, then we're not in the same line as Mahaprabhu. We're in another sampradaya altogether. We're in another whole section. But the avatar for this age is Mahaprabhu. So an intelligent person, Sumedishaha, is going to take shelter of Mahaprabhu and take shelter of the gifts, especially the Mahamantra. This Mahamantra is so powerful. I was just reading before I came in, this clip on the media. My Gurudev is saying that one time a snake bit someone and they were leaving their body, and a snake charmer came and he called the snake back with his mantras, and the snake came back and he told the snake, indicated with the mantras, to again suck the poison out of that person. So my Gurudev said he saw this with his own eyes. So how powerful is that mantra? The snake charmer's mantra. But this Hare Krishna mantra is even stronger than that. It can suck the intoxicating mood for sense enjoyment out of the jiva. What sort of poison is sense gratification? What sort of intoxication is it? It makes the mind go all, excited and, how do you describe it? When you get attracted to the material energy and you think you're going to get something very wonderful from the material energy. We've all experienced this, We think something wonderful is going to happen in the material world. But then chanting the mantra, it completely disconnects us from that material attraction. This is the power of the mantra. This mantra should be our lifeline. Wherever we are, whatever we do, always some hours, some time in the morning, because we were describing yesterday about sleep is tamagun. So when you come out of tamagun, we need the mantra, the Maha Mantra, to smash, to purify that tamagun. Bring us first of all to sattva gun and then Shuddha sattva. And only by following the Rupanuga line are these truths really going to, we know by experience now that when we taste the absolute truth, there's such a sweetness in it when you actually experience something that's true, because there's so much falsity in the world. But when, like with Srimad Bhagavatam, for example, almost every verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it's like it's Krishna's footprint on every page. So we get that appreciation for it. We get that inspiration, that potency from the pages of the Bhagavatam. And the same with this Jaiva Dharma. It's non-different because it's following Rupa Goswami completely. Bhagavatam is supporting the teachings of Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami is drawing on the teachings from Srimad Bhagavatam in all of his teachings and writings. But Jaiva Dharma is coming directly from Rupa Goswami. There's a difference. Historically, Srimad Bhagavatam was written 5,000 years ago. So this Jaiva Dharma is written about 200 years ago. But it's written in a time that was about 400 years ago. That's the historic time frame of Jaiva Dharma. So strengthen one's abhiman as a Rupanuga. Instead of having the abhiman, oh yes, I am Bengali, I am English, I am this, my material identity, we're thinking, no, I am a Rupanuga sadhak. I am a Rupanuga Vaishnava. That's who I am. I'm following the Ragatmikas. I'm a Raganuga, Rupanuga Vaishnava. That's our identity. One who is averse to reading Jaiva Dharma is certainly devoid of religious principles. I haven't met anybody yet who's actually averse to it. I suppose they would be very quiet. They wouldn't speak to me. But we can imagine for ourselves, if we don't have the inspiration to pick up this book ever, that's unfortunate because it's the condensed teachings of the Bhagavatam, of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. One who faithfully reads Jaiva Dharma throughout his entire life will be endowed with bhakti. These three verses sound almost the same. And I was saying yesterday how to say it so many times because we don't really listen properly. We don't pay that full attention. If we're chanting the Maha Mantra, it gives us the ability to focus. If you chant carefully every day for some period of time, it'll help you to focus the consciousness on these very, very powerful truths. And if we don't chant, the mind will always be erratic because we're tatashta. This is what we're discussing in this Vibhinamsatattva. Sometimes we're going this way, this shore. Sometimes we're going to this shore, like the fish moving from the shorelines. Entire life will be endowed with bhakti and will surely realize the futility of jnana and karma. If we just try and become jnanis, and there is so much knowledge here, we can really go into the knowledge aspect and it can satisfy a part of our intellect, but it's dry. In the end, it has no rasa, no juice, because it's the lila always that we want to pray to have woken up in us. The lila brings to life the personalities of Vrindavan, the Brijavasis, the Navadvipvasis, Mahaprabhu, all his parikas. If we think about the leelas here in Puri, it's so extraordinary. You go to Siddha Bakul and you remember Haridas Thakur was there. You also remember Rupa Goswami stayed there for 10 months. Sanatan Goswami stayed there. Many times, all the Vaishnavas, Mahaprabhu would call all the Vaishnavas to Siddha Bakul, for example, to listen to Rupa Goswami's writings when Rupa Goswami was there. And all the Vaishnavas were astonished that Rupa Goswami had captured such confidential, esoteric meanings of Mahaprabhu's teachings, of the affection, the attraction between Radha and Krishna. No one had ever heard Ramananda Rai, Swarup Damodar, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya. They had never heard such writings that Rupa Goswami was speaking at that time at Siddha Bakul. So because these are transcendental subject matters, that means eternal subject matters. That means when you go to those places and you remember those pastimes, they're still in the ether. They're still there. They're still present. It's like the Yog Pit in Navadvip. When you go there, that's where the Supreme Lord manifested. He was born there, and he stayed there for practically 24 years in that area. So there's such a potency in the atmosphere because it's the supreme energies, the supreme Chit Shaktis, the supreme Swarup Shakti is there. It can't go away because it's eternal. Such a man being fully endowed, fully devoted to Sri Sri Radha Krishna Yugal Kishore, and having attained their Amala Prem Seva, remains forever merged in the bliss of such immaculate loving service. This is the goal, the bliss of service. Always, we've talked before about this bliss of service when we're doing service to, first of all, service to the Vaishnavas, service to Guru, service to our Guru Parampara. This brings a great joy and happiness in the heart when we're serving the Vaishnavas. We don't want to be on the other end of being served. That's not a very comfortable position. We're not looking for that position. We're always looking to serve. And if someone is serving you, then you have to reciprocate with them in some way or other. If someone, young child, has taken shelter from you and thinking, oh yes, Gaurangi, she's a wonderful teacher, and they want to serve you, then you will feel more obliged to serve them, to give them this knowledge in a digestible way. So always the mood of service. And who is the greatest servant in existence? Srimati Radhika. So we are following her. Okay, so we're coming to our subject matter. And yesterday, we didn't actually move forward in the Jaiva Dharma, but understand with this study, it's not like, I don't feel like I'm trying to complete this book at all. I'm trying to just open this book up to the astonishing truths that this book holds. It's not like we're trying to complete it or something like that. There's no completion. Actually, we're just trying to move into the powerful present and appreciate these teachings, put them in our pockets, in our hearts, and take them forever, and incorporate them into all the, or harmonize them into every aspect of our lives. So yesterday we went over, I discussed from the Vibhinamsa, Swamsa, and Krishna is the Anksi, Krishna is the origin, and then the Swamsa coming from Krishna, all the avatars, etc. And Baladev is that Ishtadev of Sandini. And Sandini, Sat Shakti, means existence. So everything that has existence, Baladev is manifesting. And the first aspect of existence is Bhakti Devi herself. Because Baladev, he demonstrates through his service to Krishna a mood of seva. This is what bhakti is all about. Worship, seva. We've just read, Prem Amala Seva. This is the goal. So Baladev, he's demonstrating that by manifesting all the jivas. And we described yesterday 3 types of jivas. First, in Goloka Vrindavan, coming from Baladev Prabhu. Second, from Sankarshan, Vaikuntha. Third, manifesting from Mahavishnu, Karuna Mahavishnu. But again, it's Baladev who is providing the atomic particles of the jiva's existence potency. But the jiva himself is manifesting from the Chit Shakti, because the Chit Shakti is absolutely pure and eternal. And we are absolutely pure and eternal. But we've come into the track of Jiva Shakti. And in Jiva Shakti, we can be covered, because of we are weak, by Maya Shakti. And then we become conditioned souls in this material world. So that's like the track, so to speak, where we're coming through. And then these 3 Purusha avatars are manifested again by Baladev, Karnadakshay Vishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, Shriyadakshay Vishnu. And then this is all Jiva Tattva. So this chapter is about Vibhinamsa Tattva, or Jiva Tattva, it's described. So we went over again what we'd been over previously, because it was quite intense or dense, the topic. So we went twice over it. So today we're going to go into some fresh ground. So I'm reading from page 339, the first paragraph here, which is still in continuation of Brajana's question. He says, now I want to know, did the Chit Shakti create the jivas and give them their tatashta swabhav? All right? So I just described how that's the truth. So Brajanath is looking for confirmation on that it came from the Chit Shakti, and then this Jiva Shakti is manifesting from there, and then from there is manifesting the consciousness of the Jiva, which is Tatastha Shakti. So there's 3 Shaktis, Chit, Jiva, and Tatastha. Huh?
Chit, Jiva, and Tatastha.
Yes. So this is the topic of the answer that Babaji is responding to. Sri Krishna being established in each of his Shaktis. Now he's going to say how Krishna is established, that mood, that potency of Samvit represents Krishna. There's Sandini, Samvit, and Hladini. So Samvit, the Ishtadev, is Krishna. The Ishtadev of Sandini is Baladev. Ishtadev of Hladini, Sri Radhika. So Sri Krishna, being established in each of his Shaktis, manifests his Swarup according to the nature of that Shakti. So it's not always the same. When he's in Maya Shakti, he's manifesting that Swarup. When he's in Jiva Shakti, that Swarup, etc. It's going to be explained. When he is situated in the Chit Swarup, he manifests his Swarup as Sri Krishna and also as Narayan, the Lord of Paravyomi. So that's who he is when he's in the Chit Shakti. That's Lord Narayan. Lord Narayan is the same as Krishna, except he doesn't have those extra 4 qualities. He has all the other qualities, the same as God. This is so kind of the sadhus and rishis to explain all this to us, because it's very complicated in one sense, but as soon as you can honor the truth, and just sincerely want to serve the truth, it becomes quite simple. And it's all helping us to appreciate Krishna more. what he does, how he is manifesting all this world, how his energies are controlling everything. If I want to know about someone and I want to know all the details of what they do in their lives and so on, I get to know them much better, right? So like this is with Krishna also. We're getting to know what Krishna does. So when he is situated in the Chit Swarup, he manifests his Swarup as Sri Krishna and also as Narayan, the Lord of Paravyoma. Now, when he is situated in the Jiva Shakti, he manifests his Swarup as his Vilas Murti of Braj, Baladev. That Baladev potency, which is the Sandini Shakti. The sun, it has to have existence, you see. All the bodies of Goloka Vrindavan, Nanda Baba, Yashoda Ma, all the Sakas, all of their bodies are manifesting from the Sandini Shakti. They're made of that Sandini energy, except those Kayavyuha of Radhika. We already read that. They're actually manifesting from her potency, her Shakti. All the Sakis, they're a different category. But Baladev, he's manifesting everyone else. And then Krishna manifests within all those bodies. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes in another place how Baladev, he's manifesting the bodies, and then Krishna gives knowledge, because the Sangvit means knowledge. He gives knowledge of relationships, knowledge of all your relationships in Vrindavan. This is in the spiritual world. All the relationships in Braj. And then the pleasure derived from those relationships is the Hladini Shakti. So there you have the three, they're called functions of Swarup Shakti. That's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur calls them. That means they're ingredients that are acting, empowered by the Swarup Shakti. Those three, Satchidananda, are coming from Swarup Shakti. And being established in his Maya, in the Maya Shakti, he manifests the three Vishnu forms, Karanadakshayi, Shirodakshayi, and Garbhodakshayi. So as Maya Devi and these material, this Jad Jagat, would not manifest without Mahavishnu, without Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, without Shirodakshayi Vishnu. These three are called the Parush avatars. And they're all coming from Baladev Prabhu originally. But it's coming into, this is Maya Tattva. So this is how this Maya Tattva manifests. The Jiva, because he gets a choice, just like I described yesterday, we have this choice. Did you recognize the choice yesterday?
Yeah.
When you had the choice for Maya? I was saying, did you, Subal? Afterwards, I was saying in the class how before you go to sleep tonight, how many times will you make a choice to go towards Maya rather than go towards Krishna? So many times.
And it's like, when it happens, you never know. It just...
Yes, and when you're in knowledge of this, you see, when you hear about this regularly, that I am Tatashta, that yes, I am influenced by the light of material pleasure, and it will influence my consciousness. And when it starts to influence, we should blow the whistle and say, no, I don't want to go there. This is called Bal Shakti. When this Bal Shakti comes in the heart of the Jiva, this Bal Shakti will come through our practice, through our chanting, through our study, through our reading, through our association, through our prayer, through these sanskars of visiting the different holy, this strength, Bal means strength, power. We get that power from our sadhana. We get these sukritis, we described that before. So these three personalities are representing the Maya Shakti. Karanadakshayi Vishnu, Shirodakshayi Vishnu, and Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. In his Krishna form in Braja, he manifests all the spiritual affairs to the superlative degree. Superlative means topmost. What is superlative, Bhakti, in Bengali? What is it?
Sarvocha, highest.
Highest, topmost, yeah. So Krishna in Braj manifests the highest degree of speciality and sweetness. He manifests all the spiritual affairs to the superlative degree in his Baladev Swarup as Shesha Tattva. Shesha Tattva means this material Tattva. Shesha Tattva. He manifests Nitya Mukta Parsad Jivas. So that Shesha Tattva is all of the jivas in existence, the muktas and the bada jivas, two types of jivas in this world, the muktas and the bada. All of this comes under the same umbrella of this sandini, of this Shesha Tattva. This is all in that same area. He manifests Nitya Mukta Parsad Jivas, eternally liberated associates who render 8 types of service to Krishna, to Krishna's Shesha Tattva Swarup. So Krishna has a Shesha Tattva Swarup to manifest, to support Baladev's manifesting all these jivas in the spiritual worlds. Krishna is, you see, the Chit Shakti is in everything. The Sangvit Shakti is also in everything. He manifests 8 types of servants to render 8 kinds of services as eternally liberated associates of Shesh Rup, Narayan. So that Shesh Rup is Narayan in Vaikuntha. Mahavishnu, who is an avatar of Sankarshan. Very important to understand that Narayan is an avatar coming from Sankarshan. Actually, just to make it more complicated, we have these quadruple expansions. There's 2 of them. And these basically represent the power of Baladeva again creating. So there's Sankarshan and Mahasankarshan that manifest these different categories of jivas in Vaikuntha and in the material world and in Goloka Vrindavan. We're not trying to understand this. We're trying to appreciate it, yes. And then we will honor it. And one day by Krishna, by our mercy of our Guru Vargya, we will have actually each day, we'll have a greater appreciation for it and a greater respect for it. Who is an avatar of Sankarshan, situates himself in the Jiva Shakti, and in his Paramatma Swarup, he manifests the jivas who have the potential to be involved in the material world. So in that Paramatma Swarup, he manifests the jivas who have the potential to be involved in the material world. That means they have this Tatashta Shakti, because they have to fully believe that they are material bodies to get the material pleasure that they want. We wanted material pleasure. That's what we wanted. We still want material pleasure. It's not something in the past. We still want that. So we're given the facility to have that in the form of this Tatashta Shakti. You understand? Yeah. It's not so difficult to understand. Manifest the jivas who have the potential to be involved in the material world. These jivas are susceptible to the influence of Maya, and unless they attain the shelter of the Hladini Shakti, of the Chit Shakti, by Bhagavan's mercy. So this Hladini Shakti is coming ultimately from Swarup Shakti, from Krishna, from the Chit Shakti. So we have to come into that place, that purity place, that place of purity, to be purified from having this desire to try to enjoy. It's a big thing to try to turn the wheels, to transform the conditioned mind from so many lives from animal life trying to enjoy, from tree life trying to enjoy. Everyone's trying to enjoy because they don't know the spiritual enjoyment, so they're trying to enjoy materially. I've described before, by nature we're enjoyers. We have to enjoy. We have to enjoy something. If we don't enjoy the spiritual taste, we will look for the material taste automatically. The countless conditioned jivas who have been conquered by Maya are subordinate to the three modes of material nature. These three modes we see everywhere. You'll see a very bright man. He's all wearing white kurta, white pants. He's looking clean. He's vegetarian. He's perhaps a doctor, something like this. This is like the mode of goodness. It's not the mode of pure goodness, but it's the mode of goodness. Then you see a very wealthy man, you know, rings and gold and everything like this. And he's perhaps in the mode of passion. He's passionately trying to squeeze this pleasure out of the world. And then you have tamagun. We saw today one man lying in the gutter, just drunk. But in Navadvip, we see this also many times. India has this terrible disease because they must be very unhappy. Because I think the Indian culture, they intuitively, instinctively inside know their higher nature more than the Western people do. Because you have had millions of years of proper civilization with Varnashram Dharma. So when that starts to slip, an intelligent person even doesn't know where to get his so he just wants to smash his mind with intoxication. And we have this terrible problem in India especially of alcohol everywhere. You know more than me. You know, it's just everywhere. People so frustrated with their lives because they have this desire for pleasure, but they don't know how to fulfill it. They have no knowledge. So they just put themselves to sleep with intoxication. It's really, really tragic. The countless conditioned souls that have been conquered by Maya are subordinate to the three modes of material nature. Bearing all this in mind, the Siddhanta is that it is only the Jiva Shakti, not the Chit Shakti, that manifests the Jivas. The Jivas are made of the Chit Shakti, but they're manifesting in this world through the Jiva Shakti. That's it. Simple as that. We can't complicate it anymore. Brajanath, you said earlier that the Chit world is eternal, and so are the Jivas. If this is true, how can an eternal entity possibly be created, manifested, or produced? If it is created at some point of time, it must have been non-existent before that. So how can we accept that it is eternal? If you remember the first chapter of this book, Sannyasi Thakur is asking the same question. He says it appears that Dharma is one, but why does it manifest in so many different forms? If Dharma is eternal, why is it coming in so many different forms? And then Babaji, he's explaining what is a vastu, what is the real sustaining truth in the jiva, what is it? What is that elemental truth? Then he explains all about that very clearly, that Dharma is actually one. So the purity of the jiva also is actually one. He's going to explain. Yes, Babaji. The time and space. This is always the factor because we can't experience eternal time. We've never experienced anything that is eternal. We've only experienced temporary phenomena in this material world. So but we can hear about it. And when we hear about it with faith and believe in it, then one day Krishna will give us the mercy to live in that transcendental state of consciousness. He will. He's promised. The time and space that you experience in this material world are completely different from time and space in the spiritual world. Material time is divided into 3 aspects: past, present, and future. However, in the spiritual world, there is only one undivided, eternally present time. Every event of the spiritual world is eternally present. This is exactly what I was saying at the beginning today about when we go to these holy places and those pastimes have taken place in eternal time. So therefore, they're still present in the atmosphere. They can't go away. And if we meditate on those pastimes, if we hear Harikatha, for example, at Siddha Bakul, about all the pastimes of Siddha Bakul, or in Gambhira, or in Yogpit, or all these different places, then it wakes up the reality of those eternal pastimes that are there, still present. Whatever we say or describe in the material world is under the jurisdiction of material time and space. Now he's going to say how words can't describe these spiritual phenomena, we say in English. What do you say that in Bengali? Something beyond achintya.
Phenomena.
যেটা মানে চিন্তা করতে মানে আমরা আমাদের যে কথাগুলো আমরা শুধু ভবিষ্যৎ অতীত আর বর্তমানে বলতে পারি কিন্তু আমরা যে জিনিসগুলো নিয়ে আজ মানে যেটা
Beyond the consciousness, it's like achintya.
এখনো মানে সবসময় বর্তমানে রয়েছে ভগবানের জগৎ সবসময় নিত্য আর বর্তমানে.
So the words are being used. So when we say the jivas were created, this is like we're saying this in the material consciousness, but they've always been in existence. Your soul has never not existed. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor these kings. What's that beautiful verse in Bhagavad Gita? Yes. Well done, well done, well done, well done. Well done. And the translation is, for the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So there are so many verses in Bhagavad Gita saying exactly the same thing. So this is referencing the eternal nature of the soul. And Brajana is asking, well, you saying that the jivas were created because we're talking about these shaktis. That's why he's questioning. You're saying that the jivas were created by this jiva shakti, but how can they be created if they're eternal? That's his question. The spiritual world was manifested. These are in inverted commas because the spiritual world has always been. So it's never created. It's always been in existence. Or there is no influence of Maya in creating the form of the jivas. That's a very important point to appreciate. Maya doesn't come into the creation or the manifestation of the jiva. We have that choice to be influenced by Maya or not. She's not inside us. What's inside us is absolutely pure, but we choose to drink the poison of the impurity. That is our defect. That is Maya. Material time is bound to influence our language and our statements. This is inevitable in our conditioned state. So we cannot remove the influence of material time from our descriptions of the atomic jiva and spiritual objects. Because Brajanath is making this question. But it's beyond words to describe this. So, but we're trying to, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur is trying to describe it anyway, so he has to put some language here. But the language is limited. This is the heart of what he's saying. The conception of past, present, and future always enters into them in some way or another. Still, those who can discriminate properly can understand the application of the eternal present when they comprehend the purport of the descriptions of the spiritual world. We just have to have faith into that, you know? We have to have faith in the eternal nature of the spiritual world. When we think of the spiritual world, there's no past, present, or future. It's all the eternal present, the powerful present. And if you're chanting really nicely, if you're in a very devotional mood, your consciousness can also come to that same eternal point of absolute purity. Perhaps you will have experienced it, just moments of it. And then by our sadhana, we go back there again. This practice, to become free from this idea of past, present, and future. I'm here now. Yesterday I was there. Afterwards, this is going to happen. My whole life is going on like this. Actually, it's a phenomenon that as you go through your life, when you're younger, you're always looking into the future. And then you get to a certain age and you start looking back, your memories, right? You start thinking back about but we miss out the present. In both times, we're missing the present. When we're young, we're anxious to grow up. And when we're old, we're anxious to get young again. So where's the present? The present can be so painful if we don't have knowledge. You're always looking to the future if you're not happy now. If you're not finding satisfaction in life now, you have to think it's going to happen in the future. And if you've reached an older age and it still hasn't happened, then you start looking back at your childhood thinking, oh, I was happy then. But actually, I wasn't happy then. It's a trick that happens in the mind of everybody. Krishna's amazing manifestation of the Jiva's consciousness is remarkable. Many of these things are all the same in all Jivas. We all have these same point. We're all controlled by the three modes of material nature, and we're all controlled by the three phases of time. Everybody. And then we're all controlled by Adhyatmic, Adhibhautik, Adhidevik. Everybody. These for all Jivas. But each Jiva still does have his individuality, his speciality. The conception of past, present, and future always enters into them. This is language. And some way or another, still, those who can discriminate properly can understand the application of the eternal present when they comprehend the purport of the descriptions of the spiritual world. Baba, be very careful in this matter. Give up the inevitable baseness or the aspect of the description that is fit to be rejected and have spiritual realization. Don't try and go into psychology or something like this. Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about this in another essay. He says psychology is like the enemy of truth. You start to think, yes, I know how the mind works, how other people's minds work, but you don't really. You don't know everything. You may know something. You may be very expert in something, but not in everything. You can never be sure what the fickle mind can actually do. It's only when complete faith in the supreme goal is fixed, solid. It always comes back to the same verse, Anyabilasita sunyam, because this is pure bhakti. This is why my Gurudev would say this verse all the time. What is pure bhakti? What is pure devotion? That's what the heart wants. That what savai pumsam paro dharma yato bhakti arhoisaje ahoitiki apratihata ye atma suprasidati. This ye atma suprasidati, this satisfaction of the self, will be manifest when we follow this paradharma, this pure dharma, not material dharma, an unbroken line, continuous. After some time, we get fried with jumping back into Maya. we hope that there will come a time when I'm not interested in the ice cream anymore. We hope, we pray for that time when it won't attract my mind. We have to pray for it. All Vaishnavas say that the Jiva is an eternal servant of Krishna. Jivara Saruphoy, Krishnera Nityadas. Krishnera Tatastha Shakti, Veda Veda Prakash. Yes, this Tatastha Shakti. He's made of Tatastha Shakti. That is eternal servant of Krishna, that his eternal nature is to serve Krishna, and that he is now bound by Maya. Yes, don't try and materially fix the solution, so to speak, with psychology and things like that. You know, most of the world are doing that because they don't have Jaiva Dharma. They don't have Srimad Bhagavatam. They don't have understanding of who is Mahaprabhu. So they try to fix it with a material solution. But the material solution can't produce a spiritual product. You can't become spiritual by taking anything material. You have to connect with the spirit to rise to become spirit. It's like if you're in a well, you can't get out unless someone throws a rope in. And if you're in material consciousness, you can't get out till the spiritual link comes. But the whole world is trying to somehow juggle it so that they can stop suffering. Through psychology, through drugs, through alcohol, all these different cheating processes, different dharmas, you see. This is why he's saying all these dharmas have to be rejected. Gyan Kand, Karma Kand, these other paths are like material, cheating paths. However, everyone knows that the Jiva is an eternal entity of which there are two types, the Nitya Mukta and the Nitya Baddha. The subject has been explained in this way. Only because the conditioned human intellect being controlled by pramad, inattentiveness. This is the nature of the Jiva, especially in Kali Yuga. We have to face it. You know, we are in Kali Yuga. Manda sumanda matayo, manda bhagya aparudita. Everyone is disturbed in Kali Yuga. There's no one who's not disturbed. And if they are not disturbed for half a minute, they'll be disturbed after a minute. Somebody else will disturb them. You know, you can't but you can maintain your focus if you're always chanting, at least in your mind. You're always thinking of these types of topics. I was thinking yesterday, we're talking about these very deep topics, and maybe we understand them, maybe we don't understand them, but at least we'll go away thinking about them. You know, rather than thinking about how can I enjoy something materially. So it's purifying just to hear these topics. You know, it's a relief for us. The subject has been explained in this way only because the conditioned human intellect being controlled by pramad, inattentiveness, is unable to comprehend the subject matter. Yes, he's saying when we're making the comment, the jivas were created, because he's still talking about answering Rajanath's question about the language. So he's still talking about that point. That's why he's saying this. Unable to comprehend the subject matter. Realized sadhaks, though, experienced transcendental truth through their chit samadhi. So we can attain that chit samadhi so easily in this age, just by chanting in a focused manner regularly. We will get a taste for it. And what happens when that taste comes? The taste for the material world goes down. Before, the jiva is always saying, I want, I want, I want, I want, I want. He's always got these material desires. But when we start chanting, after 1 or 2 hours, the I want little voice goes down. And you just stay connected to the sweetness of Krishna. I think really and truly we can understand this when we have darshan of Jagannath. when we see Jagannath, when you see Tota Gopinath, when you see these really purified Thakurjis, and some connection is immediately going to come. We don't understand what the connection is, but it's completely transcendental. It wakes up the transcendental nature within us. We've just been talking, we are all made of Chit Shakti. We have that purity in potential, sleeping at the moment, but it's there. And as soon as you see Jagannath, immediately that potential, that spiritual spark can wake up, even for a fraction of a moment, and just fill the consciousness with happiness and bliss, just to see these personalities. This is why Jagannath is here, to give us this. Our words always have some material limitation, and whatever we say will have some Mayic defects. My dear son, you should always endeavor to realize the pure truth. Logic and argument cannot help at all in this regard, for so it is futile to use them to try to understand the inconceivable subject matters. That's what we've just been saying. You can't use logic and rational to crash the gates of heaven, so to speak. It's not like that. It's only the deepest humility. When we say humility, it means climbing down from my very important bodily conception of myself and realizing that I'm just an atomic spiritual particle, a servant of Krishna. When I have that realization, then the humility can begin to manifest in the heart. This is like the foundation, like we're given by Guru the Bhakti Lata Bij. The Bhakti Lata Bij is in the form of Krishna Seva Vasana. That means the inspiration to serve Krishna. That's what the Bhakti Lata Bij is. When we take formal initiation, we get that Bhakti Lata Bij, the inspiration from Guru to serve Krishna, Krishna Seva Vasana. That's a creeper. You know, a creeper on the ground, but it has to grow on something. There has to be a pillar for it to grow. What is that pillar that creeper grows on? Trinada pi sunichena, tarora pi suhishana. That's the pillar that the creeper can hold on to. If we don't have that pillar, the creeper can't grow. So this is very much part of our meditation and practice to pray for that. Actually, Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives a beautiful explanation of humility. One explanation, there are many explanations. One is to have no expectations. Think about that. You have no expectations of anybody. When you look at Jagannath, he doesn't have any expectations of you. He's just looking at you with love. He has no judgment. He has no expectation. He's not expecting you to do anything. He's just loving you. No expectations. But if we have so many things that we think this person should do this, he should do that, he should do that, this doesn't inspire humility in the heart. Actually, it inspires pride, sort of control. When we're trying to control people, especially, this is like actually a demon quality.
Yes. It's like
The demon.
earthquake happened after that.
Huh?
An earthquake would happen after that.
Yeah. It's like the demons, they have two particular qualities, fear and control. If you find someone who's always trying to make you afraid and they're always trying to control you, you should be a little bit distant and know this is a demon quality. This is not a pure quality. The devotee will be controlled by love. Krishna is controlled by love. He's controlled by his bhaktas. What's that? Paradino? I forgot. Aham bhakta paradino yashvatantra idvadija. Sadubhya bhakta hridayam bhaktya bhakta priyatama. This is what Krishna is saying to Durvasa Rishi. When Durvasa Rishi is running from the Sudarsana chakra, you didn't reach this, Ambarish. This is in 9th canto. When Ambarish was doing his Ekadashi Brat, and then Durvasa came, and Ambarish didn't wait for him before he broke his fast. Durvasa became very angry and sent a demon to kill Ambarish. Ambarish was a pure devotee, always guarded by Sudarshan Chakra. Sudarshan Chakra burned the demon and then ran towards Durvasa. Durvasa ran everywhere in the world, trying to avoid the heat. He wasn't saying, oh, this is Krishna's arrangement. He was just running away. He asked Shiva, help me. Shiva says, I can't help you. I'm not the controller of Sudarshan Chakra. He asked Lord Brahma, I can't help you. Go to Narayan. Lord Narayan, he said, I can't help you either. You have to go and apologize to that bhakta. I'm controlled by that bhakta. Actually, that bhakta, Ambarish, is praying for your welfare. Because he's praying for your welfare, that's why Sudarshan hasn't incinerated you already. So this mood is Ambarish. He was tried to be killed by Durvasa. And as a devotee, what was he doing in response? He was praying for the welfare of that devotee. This is very powerful. He was ready to give all his punya, all his acquired sukritis, just to stop Sudarshan incinerating Durvasa. And he waited for a whole year for Durvasa to come back. Didn't take any food, anything for a whole year. Then Durvasa came back and realized the greatness of the Vaishnavas over the Brahmagyanis. And then he apologized. And then the Sudarshan became calm. So this humility, we have to be there. Oh, we have time already. Actually, I want to go through this more carefully, so I can read to the end of this paragraph. So we're talking about language. Our words always have some material limitation, so whatever we say will have some mayic defects. My dear son, you should always endeavor to realize the pure truth. Logic and argument cannot help at all in this regard, so it is futile to use them to try to understand inconceivable subject matters. I think we've understood that. I find this very easy because I don't have much intelligence, really. I'm just repeating what I have read here, but some, like a scientist or a pundit or a scholar, their minds are working so much scholarly, and then they try to go in logic and rational. It doesn't work. So we'll continue tomorrow. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I appreciate it very much. Jaiva Dharma ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhuvevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnave namo. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Go Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.